Some betrayals don't explode in a moment. They creep in slowly, like shadows stretching across the floor until they consume the light. For years, I thought my secret would remain buried, hidden behind smiles, carefully chosen words, and the comfort of routine. But one ordinary afternoon, my husband stumbled across the truth. His discovery wasn't loud, not at first. It was the silence, the weight of his eyes, the hollow pause before his voice cracked. That was the moment everything I built began to unravel. And it all started with the life I thought I deserved, and the lie I thought I could keep. Our story began in the quiet suburbs, in a house that looked like every other on the street, white siding, trimmed hedges, and a driveway where children often played. To the outside world, I was the picture of stability, a wife who smiled at neighbors, kept her garden blooming, and attended church every Sunday with her husband. My husband, Daniel, was everything people said a good man should be. Steady, hardworking, patient. He carried himself with a quiet dignity, rarely raising his voice, rarely asking for more than what was already in his hands. His world was predictable, and for a long time, I believed predictability was enough. But somewhere between laundry loads, dinner preparations, and the hum of his late nights at the office, I began to feel invisible. Not neglected in a cruel way, just overlooked. Like a book gathering dust on a shelf, admired but unread. Life moved forward, day after day, until a small injustice began to settle in my heart. Why did I have to bury parts of myself just to keep this perfect picture alive? Why did my laughter, my dreams, my desires feel muted while everyone else's lives seemed so vibrant? That's when I met someone else. It wasn't intentional. It never is. At first, it was nothing more than casual exchanges, a polite nod, a friendly smile, a shared complaint about the weather. But as weeks turned into months, the conversations grew longer, warmer, carrying a dangerous spark I hadn't felt in years. He noticed me in ways Daniel never did. He asked about my childhood, my favorite books, the dreams I abandoned. Slowly, his words filled the spaces of loneliness I never admitted existed. The affair didn't begin with passion. It began with comfort, with validation, with the intoxicating relief of feeling seen. And soon, it was no longer about escaping loneliness. It became about escaping myself. I lived two lives. One was the life everyone recognized, Daniel's wife, dependable, faithful, steady. The other was the secret life where I breathed freely, unchained from the weight of expectation. Each time I returned home, guilt gnawed at me, but the thrill kept me bound. I told myself Daniel would never find out. He was too trusting, too gentle, too consumed with his work to ever question me. I thought my lies were perfect, seamless. But the truth has a way of clawing to the surface. And it did. It started with small things I didn't notice at first. Daniel asking, almost absent-mindedly, if I was going out again. His eyes lingering a little too long on my phone when I quickly flipped it face down. The way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. One evening, as I came home later than usual, I found him waiting at the kitchen table. The house was quiet, the only sound the steady tick of the wall clock. He didn't ask questions. He didn't accuse. Instead, he simply looked at me, as though trying to memorize my face, as though searching for the truth written across my skin. That silence unnerved me more than any shouting could have. I brushed it off, convinced I could outsmart his suspicions. But guilt made me reckless. Messages left half-deleted, excuses too flimsy, unexplained absences too frequent. I thought I was careful, but my own restlessness betrayed me. The world I built with Daniel, our home, our shared history, the years of trust, began to feel fragile, like glass about to shatter. I told myself I was still in control, that the balance would hold, that I could keep both worlds from colliding. But deep down, I knew the storm was coming. The discovery came on a day like any other. The air was heavy with late summer heat, the curtains drawn halfway against the sun. I had left my phone on the nightstand while showering, not realizing Daniel had come home early. When I stepped out, dripping water onto the tiled floor, he was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. His face was pale, not with anger, but with devastation, the kind that drains a person of color, of warmth, of everything that once held them upright. The screen glowed between his fingers, revealing words I could never take back. Affection. Promises. Lies woven with tenderness I had denied him for months. He didn't yell. He didn't break things. He simply asked, with a trembling voice, why? That single word crushed me more than any storm of accusations could have. Why wasn't just a question, it was a wound, an open plea, a mirror held up to the person I had become. The silence that followed was unbearable. I tried to speak, to justify, to explain the unexplainable. But the words twisted in my throat, useless, broken. Because what explanation exists for tearing down the one person who trusted you most? The weight of betrayal settled in the room, suffocating, irreversible. And in his eyes, I saw not just heartbreak, but the death of the future he thought we were building together. That was the day my world ended, not with fire, not with rage, but with quiet devastation. The days after were hollow, echoing with silence where laughter once lived. Daniel moved through the house like a ghost, present but unreachable. We spoke little, our words reduced to necessities, our hearts trapped in unspoken grief. Eventually, he left. Not dramatically, not violently, just quietly, with a packed bag and a note that said he couldn't live in the shadow of betrayal. And in that emptiness, I finally understood the cost of what I had done. Betrayal isn't just about breaking trust. It's about shattering the foundation of someone's identity, the belief that they are safe, loved enough. I took that from him. And in doing so, I lost the version of myself I once believed was good. People think betrayal is about passion, about desire. But really, it's about choice. Every lie, every secret, every moment of silence was a choice. And choices, once made, can never be undone. Now, when I look back, I realize the worst part wasn't that Daniel discovered the affair. The worst part was knowing he discovered who I truly was beneath the mask. And that's a truth I will carry forever. So I leave you with this question. When trust is broken beyond repair, can love ever truly survive, or does betrayal mark the final chapter before silence swallows everything?